Okay. Deferred payment schemes, like I was mentioning before, uh, some companies are using this knowingly, but most organizations employ this payment schemes without knowing. The idea is, no, not the idea, but the way deferred payment schemes work is that when you employ someone for the first time, they get their wages suppressed. They are paid lower than their productivity. But over time, as there are raises and promotions, their wage grows. So their income or the wage at the end would be very high, would be higher than their productivity, right? Deferred means you work now, we pay you later. Okay. Here's how it looks like in practice. Okay. If you think of this diagram showing on the vertical axis the wage rate as well as the marginal uh, revenue product, the value of their work, MRP, marginal revenue product. And on the horizontal is labor, quantity of labor. Okay. So in a deferred uh, payment, right? Think of this as one person, right? Each hour you put in, that keeps getting added, right? So you can think about the first year of employment. First year of employment, you get this wage. Next year, you get this higher wage. And once you're close to retirement, you get this wage. Okay? Now, because pay raises are built in for a lot of organizations, the wage is always going to grow. Assuming that your productivity doesn't even increase, especially it's going to start to decline when you're at older ages. As these wages go up, you know, at some point, the amount that of wage that you get paid is going to grow faster than your productivity. It's going to surpass your productivity, right? So think of towards the left here as younger workers, on the right here as being older. So one person when they're young, and then on the right is when they're old. Yeah. So when they are older, right, this is young, this is old, you know. When you're young, you get paid this wage, but your productivity is up here. Yeah. Now maybe at your peak, your productivity is just equal to how much you get paid. But as you reach old age, this is how much you get paid, this wage. But your productivity is down here, right? So this is a very common wage trajectory for all organizations. Your productivity, I think in reality, your productivity is not going to stay like that. Maybe your productivity goes something like an S curve, right? But then your wage goes like this, right? So at some point here, your wage is going to uh, surpass your productivity. And what this means is that a lot of workers, a lot of productivity, a lot of high productivity workers are getting paid less than the low productivity workers. And a lot of workers get paid less than their productivity. A lot of workers get paid more than their productivity. Let me see. That just messed up a little bit, huh? All right. So yeah, and that kind of brings me to the quote, that I put as the highlights for this class, you know, to get you interested. Companies typically pay more productive workers less than their less productive workers, right? So if you think about a job where, it's at a certain age here where your productivity declines, you get older, productivity declines, you're actually going to be paid more than these people, right? Your productivity is down here, you get paid up here, but you are less productive than these guys, right? So what you see happening is that a lot of organizations end up paying more for their less productive workers, right? But anyway, that's kind of what happens, right? But uh, let's talk about why, okay? Why companies or firms or organizations use this, right? It sounds so unfair. Why do they use it, right? The reason is that uh, people view the prospect of high pay, you know, as like something that they have to go after. So they view the prospect of high pay as the prize at the end, you know. People are going to spend their best years working hard but getting paid less so that when they're older and have less ability, they can be paid uh, to compensate for what they did earlier in their career, right? The prospect of high pay at the end of one's career discourage work shirking and reduce turnover. Younger workers receive pay that is less than their MRP, while older workers are paid more than their MRP, marginal revenue products. Right? Workers do not want to shirk because they want to keep that prospect of a high pay at the end of their career. Okay? Because of increased productivity, workers may get higher lifetime earnings than if wages equaled MRP each year. Okay, so if in the case of higher marginal revenue product, it may, you're gonna gain some income based on that too. Yeah. Pensions are a more visible way of deferred payment. Pensions are salaries that you get after you retire. This is becoming a controversial issue for Thailand public sector. Right? We cannot pay. Uh, wait, is someone writing stuff on there? Uh, yeah. So because the government is running out of money and yeah, there's not enough money for pensions, so they're gonna have to cut it. But a lot of people entered the government sector in hopes of getting pensions. Right? So let's talk about pensions. With deferred contracts, workers may not want to retire at the normal age due to their high pay. Right? So companies offer pensions based on how long you've worked. So workers then want to work longer to get more pension. Yeah, to work longer to keep getting high salary. But what firms can do is to pay them pensions, right? Providing generous benefits if workers retire in certain age range. If you retire at 60, we'll give you money for the rest of your life, and so on, right? And this is a more visible way of deferred payments. You work throughout your whole life, and then after you work, when you retire, you still get money, right? And that money compensates for the work you did earlier on. And deferred contracts are more likely in large established firms, but as long as you have a firm that, or an organization with a longer life than 20 years, then deferred payment is gonna be in effect, right? Because you have to give them raises and so on. Different types of companies where you have no uh, employment contracts, you hire people part-time and all that stuff. Maybe people don't work that long. Deferred payments may not be relevant in that case. Okay, so that's that for the material. Let me go ahead and close the recording.